Welcome to the Common Sense Briefing. This is a space for Americans of every political view who want to understand what's actually happening without being told what to think. Most of us only see the news we trust. That means we often hear one version of a story and assume the people on the other side must be crazy or acting in bad faith. This channel exists for people who ask, what is the other side seeing? We break down how the same event is being framed differently, and then we apply critical thinking. Let's begin. Today's story centers on the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good in Minneapolis. On January 7, 2026, Good, a 37-year-old U.S. citizen and mother of three, was shot and killed by a federal immigration agent during an ICE operation known as Operation Metro Surge. The encounter occurred on a residential street after Good had dropped her young son off at school. The agent involved, Jonathan Ross, fired 3 shots into Good's vehicle. Good later died from her injuries after her SUV crashed into parked cars further down the street. 2 videos of the incident surfaced shortly afterward, and those videos have become central to the national debate. Federal officials quickly described the shooting as self-defense, claiming the agent was struck by the vehicle and injured. Local Minneapolis leaders disputed that account, arguing the available footage does not support the claim that the agent's life was in immediate danger. The situation escalated politically when federal officials publicly labeled Good a domestic terrorist, while local and state leaders called the killing unjustified and demanded transparency. What followed was not just a disagreement over facts, but 2 sharply different interpretations of what those facts mean, driven by deeper beliefs about law enforcement, federal authority, and civil liberties. If you mainly watch outlets like CNN, MSNBC, or follow local Minnesota leadership, this is the version of the story you are hearing. From this perspective, the shooting was not a justified act of self-defense, but a tragic and unnecessary use of lethal force against a civilian. Renee Nicole Good is described first as a person, a mother, a poet, and a neighbor, who was present during a large federal immigration operation in a residential neighborhood. Progressive coverage emphasizes close-up video footage that appears to show Good's vehicle turning away from Agent Ross as he fired. Viewers are told this raises a fundamental question. If the vehicle was moving away, why was lethal force necessary? There is also criticism of Operation Metro Surge itself. Why were federal agents operating near homes and schools without clear coordination with local law enforcement? Critics argue this created a dangerous situation for both civilians and agents. The strongest outrage centers on the decision to publicly label Good a domestic terrorist before a full investigation was completed. From this view, the label is seen as an attempt to dehumanize the victim and protect the federal government from accountability. Taken together, this side frames the shooting as part of a broader pattern of aggressive federal enforcement, where constitutional protections are being eroded and civilians are paying the price. If you mainly watch Fox News or listen to conservative talk radio, this is how the incident is being explained. From this perspective, the shooting is viewed as a clear case of a federal agent acting in self-defense during a dangerous enforcement operation. Supporters emphasize that ICE agents are operating in what they describe as increasingly hostile environments, facing organized interference. Conservative coverage points to a second long-range video that appears to show Good's SUV making contact with Agent Ross. In this view, a 5,000-pound vehicle used in close proximity to an officer constitutes a deadly weapon, justifying a split-second decision to use lethal force. Federal officials have stated that Agent Ross was injured and hospitalized following the encounter, reinforcing the argument that this was not a minor incident. Supporters argue that focusing on Good's personal background distracts from the immediate threat the agent faced. The domestic terrorist label is framed as a procedural application of federal policy designed to address interference with law enforcement operations, not as a moral judgment of Good as a person. Conservative outlets also defend the FBI's decision to take control of the investigation, arguing that local Minneapolis officials are politically hostile to immigration enforcement and cannot be trusted to conduct an impartial review. This is why the Common Sense Briefing exists. This story does not divide Americans because they have different values. It divides Americans because they are being shown different facts, different emphasis, and different interpretations of the same evidence. Both sides are looking at the same videos. Both sides are reacting to real concerns, one prioritizing individual liberty and civilian safety, the other prioritizing public order and officer safety. The conflict isn't just political, it's interpretive. The common sense reality is that critical pieces of information have not yet been made public. Until medical records are released and the FBI discloses its evidence, certainty is being filled in with assumption. And when assumptions harden, division deepens. Understanding what the other side is being told doesn't mean you have to agree with it. It means you can disagree without demonizing your neighbors. Your neighbors aren't your enemy. They're just reacting to a different story. If this helped you see the full picture, like and subscribe, and share it with someone who sees the world differently.